a new homeland beyond the Hyde star cluster, about 150 light-years from Earth. A third faction left our universe, the Den universe, and penetrated into its twin universe, which is called Dal universe, where they propagated and formed a gigantic federation together with many other peoples. The same situation occurred also with the Pleiadians/Plejarens, whose federation exists in a region approximately 7 billion light-years in diameter and in a space-time configuration that deviates by a fraction of a second from our own. However, some of the Federation members, or rather Federation planets, exist in our space and time configuration. This information should suffice for now and no special explanations are needed. Further discussion about the actual years would be a moot point in any event, for I consider any mention of the exact timing of these events completely out of place. An interesting item for the group, and for everyone else, may be that certain points pertaining to the extraterrestrial intelligence's visits have been off-limit for discussion for several years, except for those items your people, you in particular, had already mentioned. You had already told me that I could openly speak about them upon your withdrawal. Patar says. That is correct. We spoke only of those ancestors who played an important role up to the present, that is, the three groups we previously discussed in one of our last conversations. In addition to these groups, there exist still a few other groups of extraterrestrial origin who visit Earth and are observed here relatively frequently. However, none of these groups maintains any form of contact with terrestrials, neither of a private nor military or governmental nature. Some visit Earth strictly for excursion or expedition purposes, while others maintain different interests, but not one of these groups has any type of contact whatever as it is presented by hysterical Americans, whereby terrestrial women are impregnated by extraterrestrial intelligences, or where men from Earth impregnate extraterrestrial women. Furthermore, you may forget the nonsense about the massacre of animals, etc. etc. Such matters have no factual basis. Extraterrestrials will create a big flurry on Earth in the future when their interests concern other matters than excursions or expeditions. However, we are not at liberty to speak about the whys and wherefores, and neither are you, of course, for you know about all of these future events. Billy says. Naturally. But I still have a question. Is it not possible that some things you just mentioned may be responsible for claims made by Ed Walters in America, who also offers photos? Patar says. He is a swindler and a fraud, and his photos are counterfeit. This is an established fact. Billy says. Good, thanks. But why were we not allowed to mention those extraterrestrials of whom you just spoke? Patar says. On one hand, this is related to the upcoming events in the new era on Earth. We are not permitted to speak about such things, as I have previously explained. On the other hand, unfortunately, careless leaks of this information would only lead to further hysteria, lies and fraud, along with deceit and charlatanry, as was the case already in America, Germany, England, Japan, Sweden and other places. Billy says. Yes, I know. In this regard, America especially leads the way in hysteria and idiocy. Patar says. That is correct, but MUFON alone must not be blamed for this entire hysteria. Many religious sects and, in particular, the government itself must share in the blame. In fact, the latter hides a great deal of important proof about the existence of extraterrestrial life and the appearances on Earth by these beings, in their secret and undercover files. Indeed, the government prohibits by law contacts of terrestrials with extraterrestrial life forms. Another very lamentable factor is the fact that the American military constructs and tests flying objects with extreme secrecy, although many outsiders are knowledgeable about these events and even hold proof of these activities, simply because they were able to observe, film and photograph them at any time, day or night. Billy says. And these flying objects have shapes that are unlike that of an airplane, and they possess propulsion systems and technological flight characteristics that traditional aircraft do not possess. But why are you speaking about these things now? We were not allowed to mention them before. Pata says, with our withdrawal the cloak of secrecy has been removed from us as well. Therefore, I am now permitted to speak about the various so-called UFO sightings that were observed in many countries throughout the world over the past 4 decades. Frequently they may be traced back to these terrestrial flying objects. They do not belong only to the Americans but to other countries on Earth as well. The real reason why we are allowed to speak now, after our current withdrawal, is the fact that for some time now all of these things were open secrets in certain circles. Therefore, we are not divulging anything that is considered a secret in the near future, as is the case with actual government and military secrets, in which case we have neither permission to intervene nor can we currently reveal them. At this time we are confirming certain things and events that previously could not be considered actual secrets for quite some time. Billy says, in a number of countries on Earth, flying objects are being developed that successfully resemble alien and extraterrestrial vehicles due to their strange, untraditional construction. The styles of these flying devices range from the beam ship shapes your people made known all the way to the triangular forms, among many others. It is no wonder, therefore, that observers regard these flying objects as UFOs, or rather, as spaceships or simply as extraterrestrial flying craft. Last, but not least, also because these craft are silent or nearly silent and possess flying characteristics that are alien and contrary to flight techniques known on Earth. Now you have a repetition of your explanations. A double stitching holds up better. Pata says, that is correct. Billy says, in my 23 pages I forgot to mention also that the terrestrial beings were actually one single race during Enoch's ancient times. From this one race other races formed due to climatic and atmospheric changes, and splits that created new breeds once again. These mixed among themselves, and new races were created once again. Over the course of time, not only did the skin color of humans change but also their outward appearance, yet always in tune with the new surroundings, new living conditions and other influences. This, of course, resulted in genetic changes in addition to those changes produced by the genetic manipulations. However, the changes were not significant enough for the original and basic link not to remain evident that all humans on Earth originated from the same, single-year stock. Hence, when the humans from the Lyra regions and other locations interbred with the early emigrants, respectively their descendants nearly 190,30 years ago on Earth, the cycle was complete among people of the same stock. And then, when the peoples separated again in large spurts, and the most diverse regions of the Earth were newly inhabited, further changes in skin color, outward appearance and genes transpired again. This time, too, the your breed remained intact, and it can be genetically proven that the terrestrials originated from a single race. Pata says, indeed, you actually did fail to mention this in your report. Billy says, something else in this regard. I have been thinking that while redoing and correcting the prophecies, we could also incorporate the 23 pages. There are actually only 1 or 2 prophecies, the remainder consists of predictions. How do you feel about this? Pata says, it would probably be appropriate for you to integrate everything together into your new book. Billy says, certain people probably are going to get into a flap over it for sure, but that does not really matter. We are used to such things. Still, anyone who wishes to be heard must create a disturbance, and whoever wishes to create a disturbance must repeat the same things several times. Only by creating a disturbance, human beings will become aware of some person or some facts presented to them, because they will either feel personally attacked or because it bothers them to hear the same facts 2 or 3 times. It is the only way to stimulate people into thinking, regardless of whether it is in a peaceful or angry way. The only important thing is the result, that is to say, the fact that one way or another they feel attacked, and, therefore, only then do they begin to ponder things and react. But now something else. Recently I stumbled across the fact that we spoke against hatred towards strangers and other races in our small campaign texts, but we have never really delved into the subject or produced any separate booklets on it. In the future we will do so, and together with Bernadette, I have designed stickers for this subject matter. Here they are. What do you think of them? These are already at the printers. These 3 I would like to have made up next week. Pata says, they are very nice and express a great deal about the individual subject matter. I like them very much. I would be delighted if you would let me have about 3 of each one, and of those you now have as well. I would like to begin a collection of them. Quetzal still has some Swiss money remaining from the time you purchased various items for us. I would like to give you this money as a contribution toward the printing costs of these stickers. It must be nearly CHF 500.00. Billy says, of course, you can have as many stickers as you wish. And the money we certainly like to have, too. I thank you on behalf of the entire group. Pata says, please convey my thanks and greetings to the group members also, and to all of the groups in California, Sweden, Toronto, Japan, and, of course, to all friends of the mission and all passive group members as well. I also pass on these thanks and greetings of behalf of my daughters Semyaza and Plejar, and also ask it, Nirira, Manara, Isodos, Tolida, Quetzal, and all the others who know you from photos and our TV broadcasts, or from those people who encountered core group and passive group members during our visits to the center, although these individuals rarely or never even noticed that we were nearby. I have also been asked to convey thanks and greetings from many people who know you only from hearsay. Billy says, thank you. Pata says, it is, Billy says. Please, Pata says. This is correct. I also wanted to talk about that. But if you feel that matters really are as you just mentioned, it may be better to keep silent on it. Billy says. They are probably just as you said. Let's talk about something else for some time now. The magazines and newspapers have been filled with war crime recollections by the Nazis in Germany. Radio and television also have nothing better to do than to fan the memories of these crimes with every means possible. The Jewish organizations and associations, etc., do so especially. It is my opinion that these actions are just as abominable and criminal as the constant anti-war propaganda in form of so-called anti-war films, etc., as well as the magnified crimes of racism and torture. It is my personal opinion, which is based on my knowledge of the human psychologic reactions, that all of those people who shout anti and contra against torture and capital punishment, concentration camps, crime, wars in any form by showing those gruesome and horrifying pictures shown in newspapers, magazines, as well as on TV and in the cinemas of people getting massacred, tortured and murdered, of cemeteries being violated, houses burned among other things, are doing others a great disservice. They have no clue about the human psyche and psychology. If they knew anything about this, they would realize that their actions achieve exactly the opposite to what they intend, because numerous misled, erroneous thinking individuals feel attracted to such purported anti-propaganda. These people see that idiotic anti-propaganda and are then triggered toward the opposite effect, whereupon they want to act in the manner they are shown. For this reason, the neo-Nazi and right extremist movements gain ever more ground. Unfortunately, this is a psychologic process which is really logical, albeit unrecognized by those in charge and by the co-screamers of this insane anti-propaganda. Indeed, these people lack the knowledge of human nature and the knowledge of psychology. Anti-war films, anti-concentration camp films, anti-drug films, anti-torture and anti-capital punishment films that depict crimes in pictures and give descriptions, and movies that present such crimes in pictures by stimulating the reader's fantasy of these written words, achieve exactly the opposite of what they should do. Memories triggered by such moronic things provoke